right? There's no way that this is not going to make me successful. I'm not going to be successful with this. And I got tunnel vision. I'm not listening to other people. I'm like, my way is the way right? But now I get to a certain place where I'm like, I also understand being that stubborn can now stunt my growth. I have to be more open to information. I have to be able to look at new data. I have to be able to reevaluate. But this is one of the things, it's now part of my identity. It's one of the things that helped make me successful. So it's hard to just say, well, don't be so stubborn. Because this is a part of who I needed to be to get to where I am. And so some of these things, when we get into activity, it puts us in a place to say, okay, now I can audit some of these things and say, is this still something that's serving me at the highest level? Right? I said initially I was going to do this, whatever, and this is something that I've been doing, and it's always worked. My parents did it, my grandparents did it, my great-grandparents did it, and it worked, but maybe it doesn't work as best as it could. You know, there's a story, they talk about like a lady that, like a husband says, hey, why do you always put the ham in the oven? You always cut off the ends and put the ham in the oven. Why do you do that? And she's like, oh, I know, my mom always did that. She says, hey, Mom, why do you always cut the ends off the ham and put it in the oven? She's like, my grandmother always did that. Say, hey, Grandma, why do you always cut the ends off the ham? And she said, because it didn't fit in the stove. Right? And sometimes we're doing these things just because, like, that's the way we did it. We're not auditing, we're not asking any questions, and they're like, oh, that made sense for her situation. It may not make sense for my situation. Right? And so now we have to go to a place of saying, okay, I have to audit some of these things. I have to figure out, I'm married. I have to figure out, is this still the best thing?
Can you see right here?
One of the things, so we started working, and since we made the shift, one of the things that we started with is vision board. And we started that conversation. We haven't gone further down the conversation. The statistics say, was it 39% of people are 39% more likely to hit their goals if they have written goals? Oh, no. If they have clearly articulated goals. And 76% more likely if they're written down. So we started, we actually did vision boards to go through and get clear. What kind of things would I like for my life? I was at a conference the last couple of days, and somebody said something, and I feel like he touched on this thing, but he really didn't go deeper on this thing, and I wanted to share it. So what he was talking about, he said there's these 6 Ds. He said it starts with a dream. You make the dream, like, this is what I want to do, right? I have this, I create, I go, I do this. The next thing is there's a decision. Decision says, I am going to do this thing. One of the things I realized that depending on stranger danger, depending on the size of the goal, there may be a lot more delay. But this is where a lot of people get tripped up, because the next things are delay, difficulty, and dead ends. And in those, that's where most people get weeded out. It is my strong belief that you do not get to go to the next level until you pass the test. And so if you say, I want to be a patient individual, are you automatically more patient? Or do you get more opportunities to learn to become patient? Right? I think at some level we know that. We say, I'm going to go lose weight. And guess what's happening tomorrow? They got free tacos at the office. Are you about what you're saying that you're about? I think we kind of recognize that in some scenarios, but when it comes to creating our dream, our vision, our ideal life, it seems, number one, a lot of us are not clearly locked in on what that looks like. So it's easy to get derailed from it because I don't really know. Like at least if I say, I have this summer body that I'm here for, I kind of have an idea of what that looks like. So I kind of can envision it. Maybe I'm not clear, but I have this thing that's kind of sort of in my head. But when we're talking about our dream life, sometimes it's so hard to look up because of the stuff that we're dealing with. I got family. I got children. I got exes. I got all the stuff, right? There's all these different things that we have to take care of. So it's hard to look up. Sometimes I'm just in a situation and I'm now here, I'm making a decision, but there's so much stuff that I'm entangled in a whole bunch of stuff that I got to get out of. And so with that, it's a lot harder to see clearly the path when I'm saying I'm going to get out of there. But this is my experience. I understand these things are part of the process. These things are absolutely part of the process. Every single time. And the people that have the hardest time are the people who just feel like I can skip steps. I don't have to go through this process. It shouldn't be like this. It is. It just is. I don't know why. Let me tell you the first example. I made a decision that said I was going to be a real estate agent. I went to one of those investor classes and I said, they said, hey, you guys are getting free classes. They said, we'll say it's $1,500 class. And the $1,500, I said, let me look up this $1,500 class. I said, the class looks cool, but they said, it's good information, but they try and sell you on a $20,000 class. I'm like, I know for sure. I can figure out $1,500. I cannot figure out $20,000. But real estate seems interesting. I understand some of the stuff that I don't know anything about real estate, but I understand some of the stuff that they're talking about. I understand the concept, so I just need to learn real estate. So if I can go in and learn real estate, then okay, let's go and figure that part out. I get into real estate. More and more I think about it, it just makes sense. Now I'm I talk to my crew about budgeting. I talk to them about credit scores. It's almost a natural progression. And so now I said, I made the decision, I'm going to go to real estate school. I'm in my real estate school. Would you say it's pretty safe to say that you need a vehicle to sell houses? What would you do if you're going to real estate school and you haven't been working and your vehicle breaks down? And it's not a small repair. It is literally two major things happening at the same exact time. My engine and my radiator is relatively smaller compared to the engine. But I have two major things which I have no money for. It's fair to say, and what most people would do is say, all right, I tried. Let me go back. Let me go get some money. I'll go do some other things and I'll come back. I did not. I said, I have made this decision. One way or another, I understand that real estate is going to change my life and my family's life. And I continued. Now, this is being recorded, but whatever. My parents are just going to have to see this story. I'm retelling it. This is my truth. So I'm taking the classes, right? I'm doing what I feel like is responsible, right? I'm locking in. I'm trying to put my head down. I'm traveling this unbeaten path. And I say, hey, Pops, I have a car. Can I borrow yours? I said, yes. Let me in the car for 2 weeks. He said, all right, so what you going to do? What do you mean? I don't have my license yet. I don't have anything going on yet. I don't have any income coming. What do you mean? So my grandfather, now keep in mind, my father and my mother had 3 cars and 2 drivers. But wait, there's more. So I go, and my grandfather agrees to lend me his car. Now at the time, they have 3 cars, 1 driver. He lends me the car for 2 weeks and says, all right, so what you gonna do? Okay. Right? And most people in that situation would say, hey, I tried. It's uncomfortable. I'm hitting these dead ends. It's difficult. It's challenging. And I said, I have decided that real estate is going to change my life and my family's life. And so eventually, through a series of things, I ended up acquiring a car, and it's raggedy. And so then what happens is 2016, any of you guys that were here in San Antonio in 2016, remember that real bad hailstorm? And so this little car the first little car I acquired, I'm driving around, but the hailstorm smashed the back window. So I'm riding around with no back, I'm a great real estate agent. I got no back windshield. Hail damage all over the car. I end up getting, I don't know how I got out of that car. I ended up getting into this gold Cadillac. Well, that was after like a series of other, like I'm just going from beater to beater. And right, this is part of the process, but I have decided real estate is going to change my life and my family's life. And so we start to get some motion. I get to our office. They tell me there's going to be, oh yeah, once you get your license, there's going to be so many people calling you, and they're going to be blowing you up to come to the brokerage. I got 1 broker that called me, and 2 brokerages that sent me letters in the mail. One of them did not even address it to me. Somebody else's name was on there, but I'm like, I'm going to the interview anyway. So I make a decision. I get to a brokerage. The brokerage it's good. It's fine for what I need, I think. I'm impressed, like some of the skills of the leader, but the office culture is telling me you got to have it's going to take you 9 months to get your first deal. I'm like, listen, that can't happen. So I'm doing everything, right? Because I have decided this is going to change my life and my future family's life. So I'm doing everything that you can think of. I'm doing rentals, like all the stuff nobody wants to do, give it to me. I'll take it. Give it to me. I'm doing it all. Right? I'm locked in. I got to make a way. In the process, and I won't bore you with all the details. I will bore you with a few more though. There's a point where right when deliverance is getting ready to happen. That's the last C, deliverance. It's getting ready to happen, or it feels like. And I go and I negotiate a deal. This is my first experience with foreclosure homes. Let me tell you, I realized that you can help people in the process of foreclosure and solve a problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And so I say, I'm going to grab the foreclosure list and I'm going to go help people. So I do my little analyst, and I'm just going to go through. I have an investor, and I get all the way there. I think I'm prepared for all the scenarios. I knock on the door, and the lady speaks Spanish, and she asked me in Spanish. I'm like, I understand a little bit. But we ended up getting a deal, right? It was a glimmer. We put it under contract, helped her close on that transaction. I got a little bit of a paycheck. I helped the investor clients that I was working with, and I guided them through the rehab process and said, here's some recommendations, ideas, some of the things. I'm grinding, and I'm like, okay, I got another paycheck, I think. So we get to the other side, they renovate it. I'm on cloud 9. We do the negotiating, I go home and my lights are turned off. Now, I just negotiated with my clients and helped them get $10,000 over our asking price. I'm negotiating. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm on cloud nine. I go home, my lights are off. I say, that's fine. I needed to go to the gym anyways, right? You go to the gym, take a shower. No. At first, it was like, okay, I had to lock in, I had to start. So the next day, right, I started to get a little bit more efficient. The next day, my water was turned off. Now I say, I need to go to the gym. The next day, I'm driving. Now, through the process of the grind, I have a few people that I'm kind of navigating, and I'm getting ready to go show somebody a house, and my tire blows out. And when my tire blows out, I'm on the side of the road, and that's when I realize the spare tire in my truck doesn't fit in my truck. I don't have no money. I don't have no situation. Like, it's not a great situation. Sylvia actually is working with me at the time. She's working for another company, and she's on her break. She comes and she actually lends me the spare tire from her car. Mm-hmm. Right? This is a horrible week. Also, that week, I put 6 houses under contract. Do you know how many houses the average real estate agent sells?
Per month or?
Per year.
Per year, they can be at this time, like less than 10.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5 is what the average sells in a year.
You did it in one.
I put 6 in contract that week. I had decided that real estate is going to change my life and my family's life. Right? And so in the process of that, right, there's a lot of things that happen. But under that same understanding, a lot of people think it's not supposed to be this hard. Right? And so looking at the story, right? If you're in my story, you could see there's a lot of points where you say, I'm out. I'm out. I tried, I'm out.
But I remember your personality at that time. You were trying to put every effort and work.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were, when I used to call you or whatever, if you don't have time, you'll send somebody. Even
Mm-hmm.
if you split the money in between.
Mm-hmm.
But you just wanted to make things happen.
For sure.
Yeah. So you had like a very good personality at that time. You were motivated and you were putting effort, and you're like some people, if you call him and say, hey, it's after work hours, I'll say to one, no, you were until midnight, you were receiving the call or text and the emails, and say, okay, I'm gonna call whatever, and your team, even after hours, until midnight, you'll do the work, and then second day, okay, did I do that? No, okay, I'm gonna call them. Just give me some time, I'm gonna call them like this. And you made it, because I remember I found you on Google. I was trying to rent a house at that time. So I was living in an apartment, and then my family came over here, and then we have to move to a house. And then we were looking, and your picture also. This guy, look, he can put from the page. He might put some time. Yeah, he's still young. He's a black dude. I like black dudes because sometimes they have energy. Okay, I want to make this happen. Like what he's saying, tunnel vision. Okay, I'm gonna make it. No. Okay. So he said, and I asked my sister Banana, if you remember. She was still in the high school. I said, I had 2 real estates. I said, whom should I call? This one, this one. She said, I think you go with this one. And I called her, hey, we have a house and we want to rent it. Can you help us with this one? I found the house, but I found him. And there has to be a real estate agent to do it. I cannot do it by myself. So he said, I'm going to come by.
When we were walking through those houses in the medical center area from all those townhomes.
The one that we rented has a pool also, And we got it at a good price at that time. It was at the Greenspoint.
Greenspoint, yep.
Yeah, Greenspoint. And yeah, he said, okay. My mom saw him and she said, well, I feel he's a good guy because he has this smile and he's genuine. So I'm very okay with this guy. I think that he's gonna make it. And then on the same day we made the deal. But all of them they said that he has a positive energy. So we all like it.
Oh man, that's so.
That was 2016, yeah.
I think that one of the things, this is what I realized about that time period also. There were some things that I needed in that time period. And although we don't like to admit it because it's uncomfortable, sometimes in those periods of discomfort, there are things that we need to get to the places that we want to be. One of the things that I recognized during that period was I'm looking and saying, like, I have to be extremely intentional about every dollar that I spend, right? Because I'm broke. And so I had decided that, number one, I don't ever want anybody to feel like they are a commission check. I don't ever want, and I decided during that time period, so it didn't matter. There was a few people I was working with that I'm like, are y'all trying to figure out? They was like, oh, well, I know you've been doing this for years, so I know you're not. I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah, so some people are pushy, some people would make you, okay, so are you trying to buy a house or no? What's wrong with you? But no, yeah, you are just doing it. You don't ask questions like certain ones. Even I remember when we bought our house, the last one on Alamorant, we were, before that one, we bought two other ones. But we didn't get upset. And one of them, we said, do you want the house or you have this set of money that you don't want to go over? And I said, yeah, the family doesn't agree to go beyond this limit. He said, then okay, I'm gonna send your offer, but if we lost the house, don't be upset. And I said, okay, because this is what this is. And we lost the house at that one. Because we didn't go beyond. I believe they put another 20,000 over the price.
But there were some of those things, right? This is one of the things that's always been important to me. I want it to feel like, I want you to be able to trust me. I want you to trust me for, I'm going to give you the best
Which is
advice.
the case. Like in the whole family, that was the case. Because they trusted you. They liked you. Okay, this man behaves well. And he is putting some effort. He speaks like transparently. He is not pushy. He is not whatever. He asks what you need, and he is helping more than he just wants money for himself. He's trying to help. He is enjoying his job.
I appreciate that. Some of the things that I learned during that time was being intentional, a lot more intentional with budgeting. You know, one of the biggest ahas that I learned, I was listening to The Richest Man in Babylon. And because I'm stubborn, right? Everything that just because somebody tells me doesn't mean I listen to it. I'll consider it, but I'll process it. And in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, it says 10%, you can live off 90% of your income just as easily as 100%. 10%, put that away. You're going to save that. And during that, I was listening to that book right to the beginning of that point. And as I'm listening, and I'm trying to test the theory, right? I'm getting these little checks, and I'm looking at it and saying, okay, if I save 10%, what's the alternative, right? On this, whatever money I can spend, like what will it make a difference, right? Even if I were to get a $3,000 check, we're talking about $300. If I save this $300, the opportunity, could I buy something with $300? Yes. But is it going to be is it life ending if I were to put this money away? No. Because if I'm on a $3,000 check, if I'm still operating, I can live off the rest of the $2,700. I can function off the rest of the $2,700. I can still be diligent about putting this away. And so I wasn't getting checks that big initially during that period, because of course you got to pay the broker and some of those things. I'm getting these little odd and end things, but I'm looking and saying, even at this level, the opportunity cost, if I were not to save this 10%, and I am about as down as you can be, if I can save this 10% at this period, then there's not a good reason to not make it a habit to save the 10% in times of feast, right? If I'm in famine right now, in times of feast, I should be able to, right? But the difference is, like when I'm in times of famine, a feast, right? There's a whole bunch of things I can do with that money. I get in a comfortable situation and I deserve it and I work hard. But those things are, like, I just think that those things are part of the process. The dream, decision, delay, difficulty, dead end, deliverance. Now, I have now since, and this has been the case, like, repeatedly. When I look and audit, like, I've had those situations after I make decisions. I have made a decision. I intend to be a billionaire with a B. That is one of the most uncomfortable things for me to say out loud because it sounds gross. It sounds the opposite of a lot of the things that I value, especially in today's climate, right? When you look at the billionaires of today, you look at them and you say, not somebody I want to be. All right, I'd like to have their money, but the way that they do things, maybe I do some things differently. They're not the best, you know. And so there's some things that I struggle with. Like the first time, I don't know why I even came up with this idea. But I do know that I've decided that I will be a billionaire. And a part of that means there's a lot of things that have to be tested. In order for me, I'm going to have a lot of delay. Because of the size of that goal, there's going to be a lot of delay. There's going to be a lot of, like, I'm going to have dead ends. There's going to be a lot of things that I have to function. Some of my process is shaping me for that. Right? But as a billionaire, the reason why I want to be a billionaire is because specifically I have to make some changes to get there. Not only that, I have to help a lot of people to get there. In the process of me being a billionaire, I expect a lot of people to become millionaires. I also know that there's a process of peeling away, right? There's some things that I like, some people that I enjoy, I like their company, they're not on the same page. And there's some of the discomfort that comes with shedding some of those people, and sometimes they come back, right? Sometimes they have to go on their journey to get there too. But in order for me to get to that place, right, I'm sure everybody's seen the whole, the apple or banana, when you sit next to another rotten one and they all start to spoil, right? I understand that as part of the process. I also understand that I have to be intentional about actively going to say, I'm going to make positive connections. And that's uncomfortable for me as an introverted person to go out and say, I have to put myself in a situation to meet new people. Especially because I value the relationships, the good relationships that I have. I'm afraid to go get in new relationships that are not going to be good relationships. But I have to as a part of this journey. And so I'm not saying that to say anybody's goal should be that big. I'm saying that because I understand as part of the process, whatever the goal, whatever the thing that you've decided, Ashley said out loud to me that she wants to make $10,000 a month in passive income. Because, not for the money, because how it impacts her life, because how it can retire her husband, because how it can, a lot of the other things that she's going to be able to do. That's not going to be something that just comes because, like, oh, okay, I hit the lottery and now I'm making $10,000 a month passively. There has to be intentional changes. There has to be intentional decisions. I also don't think that your personal goals have to be like that, right? That is a lofty goal. because not only does she want to make $10,000 a month passive income, she wants to do it pretty quickly. Which there's some things that she has to start to understand. There's a lot of discomfort that comes from being at the income level that I'm at right now to the income level that I'm talking about. There's a lot of discomfort, and I can't be comfortable to get there. And whatever the goals are that you're setting, my thing is, it just needs to be clear. It needs to start with having a clear plan of what it is that I'm going to do and starting to take steps, action steps. These are the things that I'm willing to do for it. Let me ask this question. Is it, I know what almost everybody, I don't know what you do for work. What do you do for work?
What I'm working?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy with my work, but you say you were a store manager with Walmart?
McDonald's?
Because I remember that we had a manager, a store manager in Walmart. He was so like you. Since the first time I saw him, I was like, is that
Which Walmart?
him? I don't remember. They came sometimes as a visitors, but he was really looked like you. And now when you were talking to him and you say I was a store manager, I was like, yes, he was him.
I was a store manager in McDonald's in 2 Walmarts, so that was possible.
So you were in Walmart.
I was at McDonald's and Walmart.
But no, my Walmart was like there was no McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
But since I saw you first time, I felt that I see, like I saw you, I know you. I don't know. This is why I thought that you were that store manager that I saw. So for now, I'm working as a sales floor associate.
Okay, sales floor associate, lender, realtor,
IT.
nerd. Side note, everybody should probably make sure that you know everybody else is doing, build relationships, all that fun stuff. Zane, what do you do now? Are you still doing the same thing?
Yeah, which is, but I have a friend, he is trying to start a company of trading. So we are just doing like meetups sometimes over the internet, of course, because they live in different states. And we graduated from the same college. So he is doing some classes until we reach a certain point, then we start to do some trading. Not like day to day, but at least once a month. There are certain steps that he's developing a strategy. And he said for the last 2 years, he's been consistently making some money, even if it is only 1,000, 2,000, but at least he's not losing.
Right.
Which is what we would like.
Which is great. So I asked that question, but where I was really going is it easier to make more money or save more money? Which is easier? Is it easier to increase my income? Tomorrow, I need some more money. Next month, I need some more money. Is it easier to make more money or to save better with what you already have?
Save better.
I think it seems so simple that most people overlook it because we're used to the hustle, we're used to the grind, we're used to and when we're kind of going through it doesn't feel like, especially in a situation like a lot of situations I've been in, I don't feel like I had wasteful habits, so it doesn't feel like I should look at my spending and audit it. But realistically, it is easier to figure out, first, let me figure out how to save my money better before I start to make more money. And it is also a part of the reason why, because most people don't look at that part first, I'm a lot more fearful of getting out and investing, which you probably should be. right? For most people, like investing is a little bit like gambling. And so I shouldn't gamble with bill money, or I shouldn't gamble with what if it doesn't feel like I'm comfortable. But most people will never stop and look and say, let me make sure that I am doing the best that I can with what I have. And let me tell you, I had good reason when I was working at McDonald's. I had decided that I was going to leave. Not that I was going to leave, that I was ready to position myself to leave. But I looked at it and said, I'm getting in debt. And for the last few years, I had blamed my boss because I was getting in debt, and she could have solved some of my problem because I'm an amazing employee, and we had agreements that weren't being honored. She could just solve all my problems by paying me what I'm worth. At some point, I had an epiphany and said, but I am also not doing the best that I can with the stuff that I'm responsible for. And when I made that, I looked at it and said, okay, let me be intentional. And so for the next year and a half, I was intentional, and I got out of debt, $20,000 worth of debt just about, on the same income that I was getting into debt on. And so that's one of the things that the reason why I try to, like, even when we're having this conversation about investing, positioning, saving, plugging the holes is part of that, right? I gotta make sure I take care of home base. It makes me more comfortable, because it feels risky when I'm not stable here and I'm talking about going out there and making a jump. But if I can get myself a little bit more stable here, then it doesn't quite feel so risky. Speaking of make a jump, I heard you say, Zane, I heard you say this, and it made me think about this video, so I pulled this video up.
I mean by that, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. Eventually, you're going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You've got to try to live. If you're waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. Now, I'll tell you why I call it jumping. See, God, when He created all of us, He gave every last one of us a gift at birth. He never created a soul without endowing it with a gift. You just got to quit looking at gifts as running, jumping, singing, and dancing. It's more than that. It's if you know how to network, if you can connect dots, if you draw, if you teach. Some of y'all fry chicken better than anybody else. Bake pie. Some of you cut hair, color hair. Some people do grass. I got a partner, man. Never wanted to go out with us because we stayed out too late. Come on, man, Robert. Now I got to get up early tomorrow. I'm cutting this Johnson grass. We kept laughing at this dude. Cutting grass. How much they pay? He got a landscaping company in Cleveland worth $4 million. Because all he do is cut grass. But he was gifted at it. I got a partner on a detail shop, made $800,000 a year detailing cars. He got 6 mobile trucks on him now. $800,000 a year. All he do is detail cars. That's his gift. That's what he loves to do. You've got to identify that gift. Now listen to me. When you see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life, and you see people soaring by, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. How is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, your Bible says your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, That education only gonna take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, that they ain't even using. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're going to just go to work. And if you get up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you got to jump and hit a problem. And just be real. When you first jump, let me tell you something. The parachute will not open right away. You're going to hit them rocks. You're going to get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're going to get all your clothes torn. You're going to get some cuts on you. You're going to be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. That ain't a theory, that's a promise. His promises are true, because listen to me. You cannot name one single thing God has not gotten you through. Name it. And if he ain't got you through it, he currently pulling you through it right now. And the living proof of it is you sitting in here. If he hadn't got you through it, you wouldn't even be here. So if he ain't never not got you through it, why would he not let your parachute open? It has to open, man. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tags. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has for you. See, your God has a wonderful life for you. Once again, I'm going to refer to your Bible. Now, you go down there, you memorize these scriptures, you don't apply them to yourself. Your Bible says that he comes to give you life and give you life more abundantly. If I were you, I would jump. Because that's the only way to get to that abundant life. You got to jump, man. You got to take a chance. Now, when I get through talking, there are those of you who discuss this in the car. Well, I got bills. And I got bills. Whether you stay on the cliff or you jump, you're going to have bills. If I quit my job, I'm renewing my credit. If you got a job, you live in check to check. Even if you got A1 credit, you can't buy nothing else no damn way. At one point in time, really do yourself a favor. Go see what God really do. God hold you up, man. He ain't going to let you fall. He ain't bring you this far and let you fall. Do yourself a favor, man. Before you leave this world, before you die, jump. Just jump one time. Just jump. Thank you very much.
When you said that earlier about jumping, that I hadn't seen that clip in years, but that's what it made me think about. I'm like, you know, a lot of times when you listen to a lot of successful people's story, it's kind of cool when you go and you see their story. I think there's a tendency to discredit, right? A lot of times if you hear Steve Harvey's story or a lot of motivational speakers, they'll tell you their story and they talk about all the stuff that they overcome. And I realize it's easy to discredit or just think, oh, that was just like a small percentage of people not understanding. No. This is a part of the journey. If you're trying to get to that type of level, you deal with that kind of disappointment, loss, all those things. I have an asterisk, but that's a different, whatever. But what I was thinking about right now is because the purpose of this, as I mentioned multiple times, if you have paper, you don't have to use your paper. This is not going to be something that you necessarily turn in. But everybody that has not gotten into full activity, and even the people who have got full activity, there's something that says this is the reason why I can't, right? I would get into the next level, but this thing. Right? This is the thing that's keeping me from getting to it. Might be family. Most people say it's money. Right? It could be whatever the thing is. I'm not going to do this in case you want to as well.
Pen.
Yeah, she don't. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, Sylvia.
I would like for you to write down 10 reasons. So whatever the thing is, right? Whatever this is the thing that's keeping me from the next level. Write down 10 things that could be done, right? That are in the bandwidth of this is what could potentially be a solution, right? I did an exercise like this, right? And the first few are easy, right? I need more money. The biggest problem I have right now is I need more money to do more deals, right? I need more money to be able to impact the community the way I'd like to. I need more money to be able to give bigger scholarships. I need more money for a lot of these things, right? And so I'm going through and I'm thinking, and a few things are easy, right? Could sell more houses, right? I could charge more for selling houses, right? There's some of the things that I start to go through. 3 or 4, like, okay, these are easy, write these things down. But then, like, I want you to go down and go
It doesn't work.
and say, let's go 10, right? Which says, it forces you to think creatively. Like, there may be some easy things, and these are things, yeah. But there's probably some things that you could do or that could be done to help get you into that situation that maybe I hadn't really got the time to take the time to think about. But these are also options. Doesn't necessarily mean this is something I'm planning to do or want to do, but going down and saying, hey, here are some more ways that I can solve this, that this problem can be solved. Whether or not I'm willing to solve it this way. That is the exercise right now. 10 items that would solve my biggest problem right now.
AI. Okay.
ChatGPT.
Right?
Oh, we're about to get there.
What if we don't have 10?
Oh, there's more. This is the exercise. The exercise is to get outside of the normal stuff. Because sometimes it's some of those other answers that are actually like, hey, this is something I can't do. I didn't think about it because I've been busy and I've been kicking around these options that I know, but there's some other stuff that I hadn't thought about. There's some other things that maybe like I thought about it, I had a glimmer at this idea, but I didn't have any time to work it all the way out. And I think it's going to require sitting down and working it out. The biggest problem that I have right now, what are some potential solutions for them?
So you want the solution, not the
I want you to think through, right? I want to be a real estate investor, but I don't have money, right? Here are some of the things. How could I, okay, but I don't have money. How can I earn more money? What kind of things do I have the bandwidth to do? Whether or not I feel like it's practical, could I, if I really wanted to, do these things? want to be, and again, the purpose of this class, money is the thing that moves most people. I understand everybody's goals, problems, life, it's not just money. And money, one of the things that I learned, most people's money problems are not money problems.
You're spending.
The money is a symptom. Money is the easy thing to scapegoat. But there's a lot of times there's something else, right? I believe that in a lot of relationships, they say it's money problems. I don't think that it's money as much as it is communication. A lot of times, we're not saying the same things. I may say you're a spender, and you don't want to live life. You're a saver. You're too much of a saver. And what we're having, and we say money, but the conversation is communication. But whatever that thing looks like this is the biggest thing that's keeping me from moving forward. I just want you to spend a little bit of time, and probably like another 2 minutes, going through and trying to figure out. And the overachievers that already did it, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm gonna ask you to get your AI tools and look for 10 more. Ask ChatGPT, give me 20 ways to solve this problem.
And it's gonna say, what problem do you have? I don't have a problem. Okay.
Best boss
So you
ever.
say, that's a
You know
problem.
who just asked me if I needed an assistant? Brennan, from your event, Brennan. The one that I was like, what do you store at McDonald's?
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
Ooh. I didn't think of any of these.
See?
That was weird.
Did you get 20?
This is Copilot.
Co-pilot?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I got 20.
Everybody else who, huh? Oh, now it's your time. So this is going through your thought process, but now, like, it's enough time. I want you to use ChatGPT or your other AI tool of choice and ask that. This is the problem. Give me 20 solutions for this. Yes.
Oh, but some of them that I asked here are some that are on my list.
That's why I said 20. I asked it 20 because I wanted you to get a total of 20.
Yeah.
So some of them, yeah, some of them are going to be overlap. But I wanted to go through the exercise of thinking through some of the things first, because sometimes when you actually sit down, you can be surprised, like, oh, I actually was, now that I'm sitting down, I'm actually able to come up with some answers that I hadn't thought about. And then I'm also able to understand that there's tools that can help me, right? We're in a completely different time period than we have been in even the last couple of years.
Says I should use public transportation.
You
Sorry, not coming to work.
may have to give it more information. You may have to tell it that you're in San Antonio and the public transportation is not good.
Ooh.
Did you already get 20?
No,
Did you already ask your AI?
no.
Now,
I had the major ones, but each one had like sub
okay.
division, like one for one that can have like three different
Oh,
items.
they break down.
Okay.
So I have to work on each one.
So now I would like for you to ask your AI tool. Do you use AI at all?
Yeah, I don't do that much, but
So now I want you to use a tool and ask it the question to help you solve this problem, and tell it to give you 20 answers to see if there are new answers that you hadn't thought about.
Mine says delegate more.
Crazy. Sounds familiar.
Is that what you got, Sylvia?
Mine says,
Delegate more?
mine says to cook at home.
What does it say?
Cook
Cook
at
at
home.
home.
And I say, no.
So the good thing about these tools, the more information that you give it, the better the answer can be customized for you.
It says,
So if you just say, how can I make money? Give me 20 ways to make money. Your answer is going to be different than, this is what I do. These are my skills. This is what I enjoy doing. Give me 20 ways to make money. It's going to give you a better answer and something that's going to be a lot more customized, that you will probably say, hey, that sounds like something that I actually wouldn't mind doing. The answers, if you give it more information about you or your specific situation, right? Even if you say, I need to have more monthly income, I'm currently bleeding out $500 a month right now, right? Giving it more information will help it give you better responses.
Oh, but you're not allowed to share this with my husband. We'll spend probably another 2 minutes, unless you guys are actually enjoying this. I know a lot of times when we're running around and taking the time and actually thinking through solving some of these things, it is hard to find time for this. So if this is something that you guys want to spend a little bit more time, we can.
what's in here? Have you tried those?
Blueberry what?
M&Ms.
That's interesting.
You know, I bought a Walmart today for that little boy, glow in the dark Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, that's cool.
Have you seen them?
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Focus on scale, not just profit. Ask, how can we serve 1 million people instead of how can I make $10,000? It's so specific. I did not tell it anything about 10,000.
It's because it's listening to
Oh,
them.
that's funny. That is interesting.
You should know that, Ashley.
It's interesting. ChatGPT takes a history of everything you've ever asked it, and tailors
You guys a paid version?
No, just
Oh, I thought only the paid version did that.